Hello. Welcome to Visionarics, our podcast, where you can have real and simple conversations with us about various tools and technologies. I'm HAProxy and...
I'm Traefik. In this podcast, we dive into exciting discussions about simple and deep technical topics in the world of DevOps and cloud. You can find the full transcript of this episode on our website, visionarics.tech, to follow along with us. Stay tuned and enjoy the adventures in the world of technology.
Oh, look who's here. Young Traefik, how are you, son?
Oh, hello, Master. I'm happy to see you. I was looking for you.
What a surprise. You young ones are always in container spaces. Why did you think of us old ones?
Well, don't say that, Master. You were always our model. I had a technical question. Yesterday, I had an interesting problem.
Tell me what problem. I've seen every problem since 2000.
You see, I have a new project. I need to work with both old services and containers. I don't know how to...
You're at the point where you need to make a bridge between old and new worlds, yes?
Yes, exactly. How do you do this?
Well, look, son, I learned something important over these years. It doesn't matter how much technology changes. The basic rules stay the same. Yes, I was written in C, but...
And I in Go. Oh, sorry, I cut in. Please, continue.
I see you're quick to speak. Well, that's how young ones are. Let me tell you a secret.
I'm listening, Master.
My success wasn't just about being fast. It was about being exact and trustworthy. Remember when Twitter and GitHub chose me?
Oh, of course. You're a legend in our field.
Well, now let's find an answer to your problem. You're good with Docker and Kubernetes, right?
Yes, that's one of my strong points.
And I have, deep experience in traffic management. Maybe we can...
Oh, sorry, Master. I got a notification from my Kubernetes cluster.
Go do your work, son. But remember, sometimes old solutions are the best answers.
Master, before I go, can I ask one more question? These notifications can wait.
Of course, son. What's on your mind?
I always wanted to know why you chose event-driven. Why not use multi-thread like Apache?
Good question. Look, I made an important choice. Instead of making a new thread for each connection, I decided to manage everything in one event loop.
Really? What was good about that?
Think of managing a restaurant. You can hire one waiter for each customer, multi-thread model, or have one skilled waiter who can serve many tables at once, event-driven model.
And this made you use less resources?
Exactly. In C language, this let me have precise control over memory and CPU. I allocate memory pools first and...
And I do this with coroutines in Go.
Yes, each generation has its way, but the principles are the same. I use EPOL and KQ.
And I use channels and concurrency patterns in Go. It's amazing how we reach the same goal with different tools.
And that's exactly the lesson I wanted to teach you. Look, I have a layered structure, front end, ACL and rules, load, balancing, back end.
And I have entry points, providers, discovery, middleware chain, services.
See, we're not so different. I focus on performance. You focus on being cloud native.
Now I understand why Twitter and GitHub chose you. You're really a master of optimization.
And you're a master of automation and container orchestration. We each have our place.
Master. By the way, I always wanted to ask you. You've been here since 2000 and seen all these changes. Where did cloud native exactly come from?
Good question. I saw this change happen. Look, it all started from a shared problem.
What problem, Master?
Think about 2010. Everything was monolithic. If you wanted to make a small change, you had to deploy the whole system again. A new feature took months.
And then Docker came, right?
Exactly. In 2013, Docker was like a revolution. Suddenly, everyone could run their programs in an isolated space, but
But what, Master?
containers alone weren't enough. That's when Google came with Kubernetes in 2014.
Yes. And then in 20 CNCF was made.
Do you know why cloud native became so important? Because it changed how we look at software.
What do you mean, Master?
Look, before, everything was like one big building, a monolithic app on single server with manual scaling. But cloud native came and said, why one big building? Let's make small apartments that can work on their own.
And this became microservices.
Exactly. But more important than the architecture was its philosophy. Cloud native means 1, be automatic. 2, fix yourself. 3, be scalable. 4, define everything in a declarative way.
That's why we now have auto-scaling and self-healing.
Good, and you know, what? When I saw this change, I understood cloud native isn't just technology. It's a way of thinking.
A way of thinking?
Yes, son. Before, when there was a problem, someone had to fix it by hand. Now the system decides and fixes itself. Before we did scale up, now we do scale out.
And this is where you and I meet. You with your experience in load balancing and me with cloud native abilities.
Exactly. Cloud native didn't come to push old things aside. It came to mix the best of old and new.
So that's why many still use you, even in cloud native spaces.
Yes, because in the end, whether it's 2000 or 2024, the goal is the same, to give trustworthy, scalable and efficient services.
You're right, Master, but sorry to say this, now everything is automatic. I mean, don't you think your methods are a bit, how should I say, old?
Old? Well, let me tell you something, son. When a system needs to handle millions of requests per second, when every millisecond counts.
But Master, now with coroutines and the concurrent model, we also...
Wait, what do you know about memory fragmentation? What do you know about zero copy forwarding?
Well, we have our modern methods. I mean, who wants to deal with manual memory management these days?
When your containers crash, when your load balancer can't make the right decision because garbage collection is pausing your system.
That's not right, Master. You still don't want to accept that the world has changed. Now the most important thing is integration with Kubernetes and Docker, not...
Look, young one, it's not just about integration. Look at the numbers. Do you know how many big companies in cloud-native spaces still use me?
Yes, because it's hard for them to change everything at once, but slowly...
No, you're wrong. Let me give you an example. Take GitHub. Do you know why they still use me, even though they're one of the leaders in container orchestration?
Well...
Because when we talk about microsecond latency, when every CPU cycle matters, that's when you see the real differences.
But Master, you're only talking about performance. Today's world is more complicated. We need dynamic service discovery and auto configuration.
And you think I don't have these features? Have you seen my data plane API? Have you checked my runtime API that can change config without restart?
Yes, but you must admit that implementing these features is more native and easier in me. I mean, just look at our YAML configs and compare them to...
Now we get to the interesting point. YAML. You know what's wrong with you young ones? You think simpler means better. Sometimes complexity is needed. Sometimes you need to know exactly what's happening behind the scenes.
That's exactly it, Master. You always talk about behind the scenes, But should all programmers really deal with low-level details?
So that's the problem. You mean we should let programmers not know what's happening to their traffic?
No, master, that's not what I mean. But like TLS, why should a programmer deal with complex TLS settings when they can easily use Let's Encrypt and...
And what about when they need to do certificate rotation with a specific CA? What about when they need OCSP stapling? What about...
We have these features too, master. Maybe you don't want to accept it, but the world is moving towards more abstraction. Look at how big the Kubernetes community.
Community, let me tell you a secret. Do you know why some of the biggest Kubernetes clusters still use me? Because sometimes your pretty abstractions come with a cost.
What cost, master?
When you're load balancing thousands of pods, when you need your sticky sessions to work with microsecond precision, when you must decide which health check has the lowest overhead, that's when you understand why I'm still here.
But master, didn't you say the goal is the same? To provide reliable and scalable service?
Yes, son, but there's not just one way to reach this goal. Maybe for a small startup, your abstractions are the best choice, but...
Well, but, you know, master, something is interesting to me. You always talk about performance, but yesterday I saw a new benchmark that...
Oh, go on.
In a specific scenario with high concurrent connections, I could...
Wait a minute. Are you talking about that famous benchmark run on a T3.micro?
Well, yes, but...
And they probably forgot to configure TCP buffering correctly for me, right?
Actually, I don't know. But master, this shows that you're too complicated. I mean, you need to be a professional SRE to be able to...
And you think that's bad? Look, son, let me tell you something. When AWS spends millions of dollars to reduce latency by microseconds, when Cloudflare is optimizing every bit...
But, master, the world is moving towards serverless. Everything is getting abstracted. Maybe in the future we won't need...
And what do you think those functions are running on? Who do you think is managing traffic behind your pretty abstraction layer?
Well, yes, I know we still need the load balancers, but...
You know what the problem is. Everyone thinks cloud is magic. But let me tell you a secret. The higher you go up, the more you should worry about what's below.
Actually, master, can I confess something? Yesterday I was reading an article about service mesh.
Well?
The writer said that maybe we won't need traditional load balancers anymore, like with Istio and...
So we finally got to service mesh. Do you know what those pretty Istio sidecars are built with?
Envoy.
And do you know why they chose Envoy? Because it follows the same principles I figured out 20 years ago. Event-driven, zero-copy, strict memory management.
But master, actually I wanted to say I'm also working on service mesh capability. Do you think...
Are you trying to become like Envoy?
No, master. I'm trying to find a new way. Like, why shouldn't we have a service mesh that's native Kubernetes and...
And have you thought about why nobody has done this yet?
Well, maybe because...
Because sometimes the best path isn't the new one. Sometimes you need to look back and see why something has lasted for 20 years.
You know, master, there's something interesting. You always talk about the past, I talk about the future, but maybe the truth is somewhere in between.
No, you're thinking right. Do you know what the biggest mistake is?
What is it, master?
Thank you for listening to Visionarix. You can find more technical and practical discussions on our website, visionarix.tech.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.